It's not about doing lots and lots of stuff. It's just doing it regularly, being consistent with it. Once a week, it could be twice a week, it could be every day. The amount of businesses that we talk to that have these kind of fits and starts, they're not busy. They go, right, I'm going to write a load of LinkedIn posts. And then they get busy. You don't see anything from them for 6 months, right? You're then playing catch up again.
But then they chalk that off to like, oh, the blog's worked. I'll stop doing that now because I need to do the work. Then when that work dries up,
it takes another 6 months to spool up again, though, right? That's the thing. That's the consistency piece.
I'm Nitin Sharma. You're watching RecTalk, and I've got some recommendations for you. My first recommendation for you is Asen. Asen are a modern employer record built specifically for contractor recruitment businesses. Asen helps teams scale fast and stay compliant across the US, Canada, and globally with an all-in-one white label EOR platform. From onboarding and payroll to workers' comp and benefits, Asen handles the entire back office so you can focus on your clients and the talent. To learn more about them, check the link in the description below. My next recommendation is ThinkinCircles. Job ads are not marketing. AI won't save a bad strategy. Most recruitment agencies and RecTech businesses are failing because they lack activity. They're failing because their marketing's got no clarity, no positioning, and no consistency. That's where ThinkinCircles comes in. They were built specifically to solve that problem. They understand that recruitment market inside and out, how agencies actually win clients, how candidates make their decisions, and how RecTech businesses actually scale. So for recruitment agencies, ThinkinCircles are your fractional marketing team, fixing positioning, sharpening your messaging, and driving consistent execution, but without the cost of a full in-house team. For RecTech suppliers, they solve the hardest growth challenges: go-to-market strategy, demand generation, and land and expand growth in the UK and beyond. So no generic B2B fluff, no random tactics, just recruitment-focused marketing that helps you understand your problem and then provides you a solution on how to fix it. Find them at ThinkinCircles.com, link in the description below. The recruitment market moves fast. Growth targets are changing, costs are rising, and hiring locally isn't getting any cheaper. In 2025, 30 recruitment agencies stopped overpaying for talent and started scaling smarter using Infinity Staff Global. By outsourcing key roles to South Africa, agencies embedded fully trained recruiters, resources, BD professionals directly into their teams, working UK hours, using your CRM, and delivering real results. You reduce payroll costs, you cut HR and admin burden, you gain access to a deep pool of experienced recruitment personnel and talent, all at a fraction of UK costs. Scale up when demand rises and stay lean when it doesn't. If you're ready to grow without the pressure, discover how at infinitystaffglobal.com, link in the description. I never understood why recruitment businesses that are growing choose to hire a single marketing person who can't do it all, instead of using an outsourced team that can. Also, by contrast, I never really understood why businesses that have got an in-house marketer keep adding headcount rather than strategically outsourcing specialist skills that they need in the team. That's where the marketing junction comes in. They give businesses access to the right marketing expertise at the right time without the overheads of a growing internal team. They specialize in recruitment marketing, which means that they understand how you need to generate new leads, tap into niche and that hard to reach talent pool, and build marketing strategies that support both clients and candidates. The result? A lower marketing spend, smarter execution, and a significantly higher return on investment. And if you want proof, the Marketing Junction's hiring savings calculator lets you see for yourself exactly how much you could save by outsourcing strategically instead of hiring again. Link in the description. Are you still wrestling with spreadsheets to calculate your team's commissions every month? Then this next recommendation is for you. Let's be honest, month end can be a total dread for finance teams and a source of sort of guesswork for consultants, right? That's where I highly recommend Conquest. They're a global leader in commission software built specifically for the staffing and recruitment industry. Instead of manual data exports, Conquest plugs directly into your existing CRM or pay and bill system, like Bullhorn, Vincere, JobAdder, you know the lot. And it automates everything from splits down to currency conversions to complex team overrides and clawbacks. But it isn't just about the back office. Conquest brings your commission plans to life with real-time visual dashboards. Consultants get visibility into their earnings pipeline, which doesn't just reduce their inquiries and queries, but actually supercharges and motivates the team too. When your team can see exactly what they're earning at the moment the deal is tracked in the CRM, productivity goes through the roof. The result? Zero error rates, cleaner CRM data, and a massive reduction in the admin burden that comes with calculating these commissions. So say goodbye to spreadsheet headache and get your commission strategy into the 21st century. You can even start with the free health check tool. See how your current setup scores. Details are in the description below. Welcome back to another episode of RecTalk, the world's biggest recruitment podcast. If you're watching this, you're watching for the best minds, the best ideas, and the best people in recruitment. They've earned their way onto this show. Today's show features James Whitelock from the RecTools recommended ThinkinCircles. And this one is about your recruitment marketing brand and your brand identity. So if your brand relies entirely on your logo, this episode is probably going to sting a little bit. James, let's jump into it, man.
Yeah.
Well, look, first of all, welcome back.
It's a pleasure to be here, right? Yeah.
As always.
I think this is third time lucky. Might get it right this time.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. You notice how like the studio gets slightly better every time you come back, and we kind of
it's less
rearrange
cluttered.
it.
It's good. I mean, the audience don't see this, but like there's a lot. Used to be a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of shit.
There used to be a lot of stuff.
To be honest, the stuff's just there now. It's just we've put it onto set.
You just got it. Exactly. But
that's the. And then they've got 2 cameras now, and like look at the
I mean,
we're becoming.
You've changed.
We're turning.
You've
taking
changed.
this shit
You've
seriously.
changed.
Look, when you're the only fucking recruitment podcast with one of these, there's an expectation that comes.
All right, rub it in.
First of all, mate, congratulations on the 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's I know from experience.
It sounds pathetic, but
no,
actually,
it's
actually
hard,
it takes the time to get there.
It's hard.
Yeah.
You've got an actual business to run. This is my business. So,
this is true.
I'm supposed to be doing well at this.
Yeah. I got a great team though. I tell about this all the time on LinkedIn around that. I surround me and myself and the team with people who are better at this stuff than I am. Right.
That's the golden ticket, right?
And it's down to my team and specifically Taylor, who's kind of come on recently.
Brilliant.
She's going to love this because she's going to go crazy when I name check her. For kind of getting all this stuff aligned. Exactly.
Clip that, Taylor.
Yeah. Getting all this stuff aligned and kind of boosting those kind of socials and all those kind of followers, etc. So yes,
I hope you don't mind me saying, mate, she's doing a fantastic job, and like it genuinely, it's great to see that the model works and the model works really well because like they say, well, I used to get it all the time, like I see your stuff on LinkedIn all the time, and I was like, it's not by accident, it's this is the plan. And then when we hired our guys out there, GJ and Abby and Laratu again. I see the stuff from your team all the time, and I was like, why are more people not doing this? Like, this is it doesn't cost anything to post.
Well, for me, it was about backing ourselves as a marketing agency as well. There was a lot of kind of discussion, and we talked about this on numerous occasions that we should really be talking the talk, right? We do this for our clients. It's crazy why, as a marketing agency, we wouldn't have our own marketeers in house and just expect us to do it when we're all busy. So. Yeah, so I mean, that was the reason why I kind of bring on Taylor as the kind of growth marketing executive. Depending on when this go out, we'll probably have another person in our marketing team as well. And it's just like we need to be the proof. We need to be the case. For why people want to come and work
people
with
need
us.
to see it and go, that I like what you guys do, and I want more of that for my business, right?
And you know what? That beautifully sidelines into what we kind of discussed, right? It's around that kind of that consistency, that credibility, and that and that clarity that I think we are trying to put in place at ThinkinCircles. That we want to make sure that our clients and anyone who ever has anything to do with us can see that's how we work, and then that's what they can have. Right? I think that's what it is.
Look, it's hard when you think about recruitment businesses in general. The conversations are like, how do you differentiate yourself? What is your ICP? It's our people, or we take it seriously, that kind of thing. It's hard to build a brand in recruitment, I think. It's increasingly hard for the RecTech world as well. If you're launching a new product into the space,
It's with recruitment, the problem is it's kind of the same. Everyone kind of does a bit of the same, right? Recruitment with if you just take it as you're going to place candidate A into client B and you're filling job C, that's it, right? Now, these days it's not just that. There's lots of other stuff going on board, and most recruiters are diversifying into being a talent partner and a consultant and all that kind of stuff, which is perfect, which they should be doing, right? If you're a recruitment consultant, consult. Right. Be a consultant, and you should be taking every advantage to talk to your clients and understand them and embed yourself within those. This is a philosophy. Again, we're not talking about ThinkinCircles, but we have a ThinkinCircles is embed yourself in with that client. Right? But it's an important part of your branding as well, because your branding isn't just about your nice logo and your pretty website and all the kind of content that you might well be chucking out on there. It's everything, every touch point, right? Every conversation you have, every conversation you don't have, every time you do put something out there, every time you don't put something out there, it has a knock-on effect onto what your brand is. And what.
So you think interaction, from your experience, then every interaction plays a part in kind of establishing what your brand is?
Yeah, I think completely. It can move that dial. Those fractional gains either way, right? Can change a dial. A particularly bad conversation with a long-standing client, can put them off forever.
Yeah.
And that then can have knock-on effect. That person might not then refer other clients to you, all that kind of stuff, right? And it comes back to that kind of adage is, brand is what people say about when you're not in a room. It might be in if we bastardize that for recruitment, it's kind of what candidates, when a candidate's deciding if they're going to message you back, right? It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
All of those little touch points have a perceivable, if minute, but perceivable effect on what a brand and your recruitment brand is. And it's very, that clarity, that consistency, and that credibility really come into kind of play. And that's something that needs to be driven into everybody within the business because so they understand it. Because as I said, it's not just about pretty websites and all the nice things that kind of look great and the nice logo. That's actually circumstance. Basically, that doesn't that can help bolster your brand, but it doesn't kind of actually change the needle. Whereas the clarity on knowing who you want to speak to, why you want to speak to them, what the problem is you solve. And I know in recruitment everyone goes, "Oh, we're filling roles," but there's more to that than filling roles. You're supporting that business to grow. You're supporting that business through a hard time because they've got to let people go, or they've let 2 people go, now they're hiring for 1 person, or something like that, right? So that's what you need to kind of understand. The consistency piece.
There's that deeper research piece, though, isn't it? Like really, truly knowing the client and what makes them buzz, what are they invested in, right?
Yeah.
Well, what their plans are, what their growth plans are, what their struggles are.
Yeah. But that's
rather than just going, I see you need a bum on this seat. Let me be.
That's understanding. You understand the problem because a lot of the time because a client is hiring, that's not the problem, right? There's something else somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If they're a big IT supplier, they might be they're spooling up for a new project, right? Or if they're in construction, they're about to go on site for a new piece, and they need everybody within that chain, and from site managers to the foremen, right? And actually, the problem is they've got to deliver that project, not that they need bums on seats. So you understand that problem from that perspective. So that's your kind of clarity piece, right? You understand what you do, why you do it, and who you're doing it for, and what the problem is that you are solving. The consistency piece. Whereas if you look at what you do, it's every day, maybe several times a day. It is consistent. It's on point. It's focused. There's a theme. There's something, and you nail down the niche as well, right? That again is what can affect how people perceive your brand. And it's not just kind of like I'm sure all the marketeers you've heard on it will talk about just chucking shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah,
right? It's not about that.
No,
actually. Less ideas with more focus, talking about it consistently is way, way more better, right? And then the usual pushback on that is, well, there's so much noise out there anyway, right? And there is,
but
the
kind
cream
of
does rise to the top, right?
Yeah,
if you keep, it definitely does.
That kind of mentality is the kind of if you can't beat them, join them kind of thing, right? I don't know. Yeah, that doesn't work. But you're absolutely right. Yes, there's noise out there, but there's noise in every industry. Whether if you can define your audience properly, and you can make sure that you are playing within the guidelines of the platform in which you're operating in, you will reach that audience faster and more consistently than those that are just screaming in the wind.
Yeah. And not doing something is just as much as a signal as doing something as well, right? People will notice your silence, right? That is just as much as a signal. So being afraid of doing anything and kind of reticent to do something, or waiting for the right time to do something, or being arrogant enough to say I'll only reach out when I need to.
Yeah,
that is not. That all has again these effects on your recruitment brand and moving the dial in one direction. or another. And that's the kind of consistency piece, right? It's and when we talk about just to kind of reiterate, it's not about doing lots and lots of stuff. It's just doing it regularly, right? It's being consistent with it. It could be once a week, it could be twice a week, it could be every day. But the amount of businesses that we talk to is that have these kind of fits and starts. Usually if they're busy or they're not busy, right? They're not busy. They go, right, I'm going to write a load of LinkedIn posts, right? And then they get busy, and then you don't see anything from them for 6 months, right?
Yeah.
And then you're then playing catch up again, and also,
but then they chalk that off to like, oh, the blog's worked. Now I've got the work that I wanted, and therefore I'll stop doing that now because I need to do the work.
Yeah.
And then what you tend to find is then when that work dries up, they go back to.
Then it takes another 6 months to spool up again, though, right? That's the thing, and that's the consistency piece, and that's actually kind of so important, And you see more and more people do. More and more people. That's actually the easier bit to do. It's consistency, being focused and talking about a kind of a topic or a niche, and having the foresight to come at slightly different angles and see the problems for different people. That's when it becomes kind of quite tricky, For us, we tend to, if we take us as an example again, we had a campaign running around kind of why EVP don't tend to work, right? As opposed to why everybody should have an EVP. We come at a kind of a slightly different angle.
Yeah.
So there's things that you can change it up. You're basically saying the same thing, right? But and I talk to a lot of clients about is owning that space and owning that conversation.
Yeah.
Right. That's what you want to try and do. And when you can figure out the conversation you want to own, then you're halfway. You're halfway there.
Yeah, you're on the journey, aren't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, that starts then to move the needle on your brand, because again, it's all these little micro impressions and perceptions that you don't know necessarily where that you might not have even considered, that there could be clients out there who want to work with you, that they will start to see this kind of stuff. They understand that you understand them.
Isn't it funny though when you think about like, what is our brand identity? What do we want our brand identity to be? People kind of go, say for example, we want to be seen as this really professional recruitment outfit that are, comparable to a Big Four audit firm, right? But actually, they struggle to pull that off. And when they look at that, they go, well, it's because our imagery isn't quite right, or our website's not quite right. We need to spend more on the logo to make it look like that. The thing is, fundamentally, if you're acting and behaving like a transactional agency that is like an ambulance chasing style, it's your behaviors and how you day to day operate that dictate what your brand is.
Yeah.
Not how sexy your logo is, not how beautiful your website is.
Yeah.
It's actually fundamentally what you do on a day to day basis. You want to be considered a big, a top 10 audit firm like recruitment agency. Well, you got to fucking behave like it. Well, you got to treat candidates and clients in that manner. You got to present yourself in that manner, and not go and invest thousands on a cute website and a logo and go, well, we're etched into the history books. No, you're not.
It's interesting because I don't think any longer like size basically buys you authority as well, right?
That's right.
That's the other thing that you need to kind of realize. It doesn't. It's just authority is now earned through the signals and what you put out there.
Yeah, our industry's matured so much from that viewpoint. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so that's why actually, when it comes down to building a recruitment brand, size isn't actually a factor. You can be a small.
You're trying so hard just to avoid the phrase "size doesn't matter," aren't you?
Yeah, I was really
You're
skirting around
that,
right? But it kind of doesn't, because a startup can outbrand someone who's kind of been around for 20 years.
Yeah.
A small business, a one-man band, can outbrand a huge, great, big generalist, right? As long as you stick to those kind of 3 C's, you can do it, because you can still be consistent. You can be focused as a small business. And
why do you think that matters so much? Size, as in head count and that kind of thing, and like visibility in terms of number of global offices and that.
I think it's arrogance. I think it comes down to that you're seen as a proper player if you've kind of got lots of employees, you've got lots of offices, and you're operating in however many regions. I think there's a lot of there's hang-ups from a lot of businesses through recruitment being so transactional and sales focused, and it being, if you want to play with the big boys, and that some of that arrogance around that. Now, I'm not painting every recruitment agency with that whatsoever, but I think there is some of that kind of comes with it, that to be perceived as successful, you need to have a big business, right? Whereas actually, the most successful people you probably meet with in the recruitment space are probably one-man bands who are turning over, 6 figures, more than happy, have got their niche down, know what they do, earn it consistently, don't have kind of upturns and downturns. Doesn't matter what the market's doing, they're there.
My first recommendation for you is Asen. Asen are a modern employer record built specifically for contractor recruitment businesses. Asen helps teams scale fast and stay compliant across the US, Canada, and globally with an all-in-one white label EOR platform. From onboarding and payroll to workers' comp and benefits, Asen handles the entire back office so you can focus on your clients and the talent. To learn more about them, check the link in the description below. My next recommendation is ThinkinCircles. Job ads are not marketing. AI won't save a bad strategy. Most recruitment agencies and RecTech businesses are failing because they lack activity. They're failing because their marketing's got no clarity, no positioning, and no consistency. That's where ThinkinCircles comes in. They were built specifically to solve that problem. They understand that recruitment market inside and out, how agencies actually win clients, how candidates make their decisions, and how RecTech businesses actually scale. So for recruitment agencies, ThinkinCircles are your fractional marketing team, fixing positioning, sharpening your messaging, and driving consistent execution, but without the cost of a full in-house team. For RecTech suppliers, they solve the hardest growth challenges: go-to-market strategy, demand generation, and land and expand growth in the UK and beyond. So no generic B2B fluff, no random tactics, just recruitment-focused marketing that helps you understand your problem and then provides you a solution on how to fix it. Find them at ThinkinCircles.com, link in the description below. The recruitment market moves fast. Growth targets are changing, costs are rising, and hiring locally isn't getting any cheaper. In 2025, 30 recruitment agencies stopped overpaying for talent and started scaling smarter using Infinity Staff Global. By outsourcing key roles to South Africa, agencies embedded fully trained recruiters, resources, BD professionals directly into their teams, working UK hours, using your CRM, and delivering real results. You reduce payroll costs, you cut HR and admin burden, you gain access to a deep pool of experienced recruitment personnel and talent, all at a fraction of UK costs. Scale up when demand rises and stay lean when it doesn't. If you're ready to grow without the pressure, discover how at infinitystaffglobal.com. Link in the description. I never understood why recruitment businesses that are growing choose to hire a single marketing person who can't do it all, instead of using an outsourced team that can. Also, by contrast, I never really understood why businesses that have got an in-house marketer keep adding headcount rather than strategically outsourcing specialist skills that they need in the team. That's where the marketing junction comes in. They give businesses access to the right marketing expertise at the right time without the overheads of a growing internal team. They specialize in recruitment marketing, which means that they understand how you need to generate new leads, tap into niche and that hard-to-reach talent pool, and build marketing strategies that support both clients and candidates. The result? A lower marketing spend, smarter execution, and a significantly higher return on investment. And if you want proof, the Marketing Junction's hiring savings calculator lets you see for yourself exactly how much you could save by outsourcing strategically instead of hiring again. Link in the description. Are you still wrestling with spreadsheets to calculate your team's commissions every month? Then this next recommendation is for you. Let's be honest, month end can be a total dread for finance teams and a source of sort of guesswork for consultants, right? That's where I highly recommend Conquest. They're a global leader in commission software built specifically for the staffing and recruitment industry. Instead of manual data exports, Conquest plugs directly into your existing CRM or pay and bill system, like Bullhorn, Vincere, JobAdder, you know the lot. And it automates everything from splits down to currency conversions to complex team overrides and clawbacks. But it isn't just about the back office. Conquest brings your commission plans to life with real-time visual dashboards. Consultants get visibility into their earnings pipeline, which doesn't just reduce their inquiries and queries, but actually supercharges and motivates the team too. When your team can see exactly what they're earning at the moment the deal is tracked in the CRM, productivity goes through the roof. The result? 0 error rates, cleaner CRM data, and a massive reduction in the admin burden that comes with calculating these commissions. So say goodbye to spreadsheet headache and get your commission strategy into the 21st century. You can even start with the free health check tool, see how your current setup scores. Details are in the description below.
But getting that right then becomes incredibly scalable as well, right? Because if you can be an agile business that can be more profitable than a headcount focused business, for example, you've got then a repeatable, scalable process that you can then, the maths then stacks up, right? My 3-person business can create a profit of £500,000, right? With all operational costs and stuff, the net profit there is £500,000. So then that actually we could replicate this model with another 3 people in another region or another industry or whatever, because the model and the process works.
Yeah.
And then we've got 6 people doing £1 million. And then that becomes kind of, do you know what I mean? Like, rather than just going, actually, to be considered a big business, I need to have a headcount of 50 plus, and I need to be in at least 4 offices, because, and overall profit, they might only be making 150K. Right.
Yeah.
But they see that and feel that as more successful. Whereas
the thing is that it's really difficult to do that. So to maintain that kind of quality of brand perception and authority once you start to grow, isn't easy. And I've worked within numerous kind of large organizations, large recruitment organizations, where it was nigh on it impossible, no matter how much the centralized kind of like branding teams and marketing teams kind of like try to put this kind of forces down people's kind of throats. Maybe that was one of the problems. Everyone wasn't bought in, but that and I think that sometimes is a perceived problem, and I think it actually is a problem. I think it can quite easily, from a brand perspective, start going off in all kinds of different directions once you've kind of got multiple offices and people working remotely. And I think this is one of the reasons why we saw this whole thing around getting people back into the office, because I think everything became very disparate, and it was very difficult to kind of like internally to maintain what your brand was actually meant to be about. And thus then that has an effect.
But as you say, you can't dictate the brand. It doesn't matter what you think you want your brand to be.
Yeah.
The people have got to be brought in, but actually your brand is dictated by your day-to-day behaviors and activities. So if fundamentally as a business, you are not a caring, consultative, kind of, deep diving type agency, then tough shit. Your brand's never going to be that, even if you have them all back in the office.
Yeah.
Because the people within there, the behaviors within your business are what dictates your brand. Right?
Yeah. I mean,
because there are examples of big businesses that are like, no, this is like the Quaker Oats and that kind of thing, where this is the Quaker way. It's rooted in how we are, how we behave, how we operate as a business. This is who we are. This is our identity. And then because of that, people join the business because they're either drawn to it or not drawn to it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just hiring for volume, headcount, growth, vanity metrics, you're absolutely welcoming in a bunch of different types of people who aren't necessarily bought into the brand, because, as you say, you're forcing it down people's throats, and you can't. Brand is created internally, not dictated externally, and so you might think that you are this, but the reality is you are this, and those behaviors are what dictates what the market thinks of you.
Agreed, because again, it comes down to that all those interactions that your people are having with internally, externally, with candidates, with clients, with suppliers, with just their peers. All of that is feeding back into your brand, and I
hope you won't get blowback for this. I don't care if I do. I think a very good example of this is Access Group in our industry, as in they are so big, and on paper the model should work, but there are so many people that are fundamentally unhappy with various different parts of the business, because the business has tried to do this, but the people within the business have gone in a different direction. And there's so much discourse between the two in terms of what we want our brand identity. Because you go Expo, they've got the biggest stands, they've got the nicest screens, they've got, do you know what I mean? But the on the ground stuff is so different to what HQ wants to be perceived as, that actually the brand identity and the perception of that brand is incredibly poor right now.
I mean, it's bordering on toxic at times, right? I think, and I'm sure there is numerous reasons as well. And I
Absolutely.
suppose clarification is we're talking about the recruitment part of Access Group. Access Group is a ginormous.
Of course, yeah,
with
yeah.
And
yeah.
I don't actually know what actually goes on in the rest of it, because that could work completely differently.
I'm sure.
With regards to the recruitment.
But certainly, the recruitment. I think it's a good use case because everyone's got an opinion on Access Group.
Yeah.
But if you speak to the SLT within Access Group and ask them what their brand identity is, and compare that to boots on the ground, people's perceptions of what they believe Access Group are about, there's a disparity there. And I think that's a really good use case of an example of, for business owners to be listening and going, actually, what would our customers say about us? What would our clients say about us? Not just our paying clients, but the ones that we didn't fill with. Not just the placed candidates, but the ones that we didn't place.
Yeah.
What would they say about us? Did we reject them properly? Did we give them the good service that we claim to give everybody? We do aftercare with our placed candidates, but do we do aftercare with every placed candidate? Or are we only going after aftercare with the ones that are potentially decision makers in the future? Is that who we are as a brand?
I mean, I think it's difficult for them, right? They're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't, to a certain extent. For those guys, and we know with anyone who ever kind of puts their head up on the parapet and complains about something is usually the shouting the loudest.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've had exposure to people complaining about parts of that group.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't actually hear as much people kind of like standing up for it, because I think they're just happy.
I think absolutely, and it's out of a fear of being shouted down.
Quite possibly, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
So again, my chance to play devil's advocate a little bit here, but it's like I do wonder if it's just because some of the negativity.
It's cool to be.
They're shouting louder, and also they're shouting it in quite public spaces.
Yes.
Right. There are WhatsApp groups. I'm sure we're all members of, kind of networks, etc., where they sometimes get a bit of a kicking, but I don't necessarily hear the other side of it, and I think that's where they're missing a trick, right? Also, I think probably, and they may do this internally, but getting ahead of those problems and reaching out to the people who have got a problem, identifying them and finding out exactly what's going on, turning them from negative into advocates, that kind of thing. That's all very powerful stories.
That's
to tell,
time-consuming stuff, though, isn't it? Right?
Oh, it is. And
I call it the Nickelback effect.
Okay.
Right. So bear with me. Let me land.
Okay,
right. There was a period of time where liking Nickelback, or we just all of a sudden everybody just accepted that Nickelback were a cringe band with shit music. And there was no argument about it.
Yep.
But secretly, there's still people that were like, I can't like them. But it's the cool thing to be like, oh yeah, Nickelback, so lame, so lame. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, people found their voice and kind of went, no, I've always liked Nickelback. I think that whole thing was ridiculous. That's stupid. I don't know why we decided as a society that we don't like Nickelback, because I've always listened to them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I went to a Bon Jovi concert in Coventry and Nickelback were opening for him. Mm-hmm. I had more fun watching Nickelback than I did Bon Jovi. I was like, this is what I came for, right? Uh-huh. But did I tell anyone about it? Did I fuck? Because it wasn't cool to tell people.
Yeah.
It was cool to shit on them.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of mentality of like, I don't want to put my head above the parapet and protect and say, actually, Access Group have been good for me, because whilst they have been, there's so many people shouting about it and complaining about it that I'm just going to look an idiot. So I'd rather just put my head down and carry on. So there's that Nickelback effect, I think, to consider as well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's like the kind of quiet conservatives and things like that, right? Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. But again, it's all about kind of building your reputation, right? And once once the people start chipping away at your reputation, it's very difficult then to kind of fill in those gaps again, because we live in this kind of social society where that can spread quite quickly. Mm-hmm. And being able to maintain and get ahead of that, and I don't think you could ever necessarily control it, right? Again, it comes back to that thing of just not damaging your credibility, right? That's what it's doing. If we come back to the kind of 3 C's,
kind of brand preservation is something that maybe recruitment businesses don't take very seriously, right?
Well, I think you have to be of a certain size. I think once you get to, I was saw it as a badge of honour. If we ever got criticised, I was like, well, we're big enough for someone to take a pop at us now, right? And I think, and that's how I've always kind of seen it. And I think that's probably a better way of thinking. Is right. Well, we're big enough and ugly enough now that people want to take us down a bit, and see it as a bit of a badge of honour. But maybe
I think but you could argue though that actually, everything's an opportunity to learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody's saying, and you might not agree with it, there might be yours. There's always three sides to every situation. There's yours, there's mine, and there's actually what happened.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so I think yes, there's an element of, oh, hey, the people care enough to actually say something negative about us. But I think there's always an opportunity to learn within that, especially if you're a recruitment business.
Yeah.
Because you have to you have to be focused on trying to get it right every time. You have to be, because otherwise your model fails. If you're a perm heavy, contingent focused business, you have to be working at all hours of the day to be the absolute best version of yourself, because A, it's competitive out there, and B, you don't fucking get paid unless you do the job properly. That needs to be part of your brand identity. That needs to be part of your culture and your mission as a business, that we try our damnedest to get it right every time. Because if you don't, that impacts that brand perception of who you are as a business. And our industry the brand of our industry has been damaged quite a bit through a range of these sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
and it still continues to this day. I think is that that kind of secondhand car salesman perception is it's still there, and if we take your example, if you're that business that is trying to do better. That's a great brand. That's a great story. And a great story, the fact that you don't get it right every time, because no one does. You're only human after all, right? But you're dealing with humans, and you will try your best. And like your philosophy of people go to the gym, it's like you try and do everything a little bit better the next time, right? A little bit better every single time, and that's perceived and that's understood, and that's a signal that gets picked up, and that can be part of the story that you tell, is that that you're human. We try to do our best, and we saw a lot of this. When people were making their kind of ED&I statements and stuff like that. It was like, well, we're not there yet, but we want to be. And actually, I think that's a more honest, truthful story than saying, yeah, we're great, we're the best, we know everything about our industry, blah, blah, blah. So it's like,
this is that building public mindset, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
We seem to always, as humans, we seem to kind of back the underdog, right? And so, hey, put yourself out there as the underdog. You don't.
Yeah.
Again, if you're trying to grow, if your brand identity is, we are the biggest agency, we are the best agency, we are the most headcounted agency, or whatever, you're not going to want to show vulnerabilities of the underdog, right? Yeah. But the truth of the matter is, most businesses are SMBs, most of them are sub 8 headcount. So, like, kind of build in public, like, let people know your challenges, your journey that you're going on as an agency, as a business.
People buy people in the end. I know it is a trope that gets kind of chucked around in recruitment, but people do kind of like buy into. I think that's why we still have this conversation within recruitment around the position of AI and other technologies.
Yeah.
What's going to be the outcome is, do the people coming into work for, do they really genuinely want to kind of be hired by a bot, or do they actually in the end want someone to talk them through this a very difficult step potentially in their career? Those kinds of things. And again, back to the brand thing, those are, if you're using lots of technology and AI, that is part of your brand now, right?
Yes.
That's the kind of brand you are putting out there, right? And how you control that and what that says about you, well, that's for you to decide, right? You have to tell that story around that, why you're doing all that. If you again look at take my business, is we are trying to put that message out there that we very much use something like AI and technology in very specific circumstances. We're not going to be using it for writing lots and lots of content for you, because I think that's cheating. When it comes to when you're hiring a person to do your marketing, we should be writing that kind of stuff for you. We should be understanding your business, and we should be embedded in your business enough to be able to write content, write and copy. When it comes to analytics, when it comes to kind of ideation, when it comes to other things, fine. There's definitely kind of places for all that kind of stuff. But
that's interesting.
I'm very much very much of the thing that if we can put we're strategic, but again, if one of the team is tasked with writing an article or blog, I don't believe that you can kick it off in AI. I get that, right? But I still think it needs to have that. Have to have that human touch.
Do you think it matters what the intention is for that blog? Because again, let's be honest, right? If a recruitment agency wants to put a blog out, 9 out of 10 times, I would argue, and you can correct me on this because you're in this space and I'm not, the intention is to be found. right? And for the blog to act as a lead magnet to, hey, we're a recruitment agency, you need to use us, right? And so whether it's we're demonstrating our market prowess and knowledge, or whether we're demonstrating, intelligence that stands us out from the crowd in terms of how we go about our process of recruitment, or whatever it might be, whatever the purpose of the blog is, right? If that's the intended outcome, does it really matter how that blog was created? When actually, if I'm paying a marketing agency, what I actually want is for A, the blog to be found, and B, for it to be optimized in such a way that it is easy to read and pushes someone from reading it into my lead funnel. If that's its intended purpose, does it really matter how it was created?
If that's its intended purpose. Sometimes it's not necessarily with that intended purpose. The purpose can literally be to...
So why else would a recruitment agency write a blog? Because again, this is part of the brand thing, right? Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, again,
why are you doing what you do?
Again, it comes down to, I think, to those 3 C's as well, right? So, being found, I think, is part of the tools that you wanted to kind of to use and deploy. What you're saying, how you're saying it, why you're saying it, who you're saying it to. I think still is the bit that needs to be considered right at the start. And I think if you're writing stuff that is solely written by AI, right, without your kind of human intervention and without your personal touch and without potentially your actual knowledge, right, in there, then I think that's giving a signal which might not necessarily you want to give that signal.
I hear that.
And so,
then should the business not be the ones writing the blog, not a third-party recruitment marketing agency?
Well, with us, but I come back to that thing when we embed ourselves with that business, and we're there to understand.
So it comes back down to the integrity of your brand.
Yeah, exactly. So the credibility, the accountability, the consistency is what we bring into those, and also we understand recruitment. We're niched in recruitment, so hopefully we can understand them as much as they do, or work with them to get there.
Yeah.
As opposed to shortcutting it maybe with AI. And and sure, AI will probably be there at some point in the future, but it definitely isn't there now, right? It can be still full of mistakes, and if you don't know it's full of mistakes, then you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah,
right.
Which again then impacts the
exactly
brand that
all of that. So I think I think there needs to be these checks and balances when it comes to those kind of things. But I think most people agree when it comes to kind of AI generally. But I take it a step further back, that I think that it's good for some things, but I think when it comes to kind of like some authority around what you want to say, I think there needs to be
I think this comes down to kind of then really with every interaction that your business has in whatever way, shape or form that is, whether it's using AI or whether it's using a mobile phone or whether it's attending a networking event, effectively you need to have guardrails in place to ensure that your brand is protected. Because it's all well and good as a business owner or as a team of SLT sitting around a boardroom and going, this is who we want to be perceived as, this is what our brand identity is. But when the people on the ground are out there doing the do, and your outreach is going out, whether it's an automation outreach, whether it's an email sequencing, whether it's the way what you're doing on WhatsApp and all the rest of it, without clear guardrails to make sure that the people and the not just the people but the technology is acting within those brand guidelines, that meeting is pointless. Like, you're never going to have the brand that you want to have.
I wonder if that's too restrictive. I think, and again, I know that might be contradictory to everything I've just said. I think there, again, you would hope that there are people within your business who are aligned, right, and understand that. And how that their interactions with other people, when they're at networking or offline, online, whatever it is going to kind of chip away at their brand negatively or positively, and so that's just kind of kept in mind. I think you can't be so restrictive that you're going to kind of like stop them from being themselves.
You hire those people because they will represent your brand.
Exactly. Yeah,
so or complement. Yeah, that's right. I never really ever understood when you're younger and you're going to your Christmas parties or whatever, and the boss sits like, look, you're representing our company, and this, that, and the other. I never really understood that until kind of last year at team conference, and I won't name the person because it's unfair to. But there was a member of staff of a business who's a client of mine, who got really, really drunk and was just an insufferable prick. And I was like, I don't like you now.
Yeah.
I thought I did. I don't like you. And I don't know whether I want to work with your business anymore. I don't want them. Do you know what I mean? Because you're representing this business.
Yeah.
And you're in this environment. And I understand that this is your personal time as well and all the rest of it. But I find you insufferable. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
do you find them insufferable when they weren't drunk?
It certainly impacted how I now interact with that person. Right. But prior to that, I probably would have been like, that person's all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it certainly has branded that person now as like I know I don't like you. You know what I mean? Like I just know.
Yeah.
But like as kind of mundane or stupid as that example sounds, this is what your clients go through.
Mm.
When you invite them to like workshops or dinners and that kind of thing, there might be, unbeknownst to you as a business owner, there might be a member of staff that you have that has said something, done something in passing that is now impacting your brand, because no matter all the good stuff that you might do, that interaction is so memorable that they're just like, yeah, but you know.
The thing is that it's hard to control all of
So that's what I mean by guardrails.
Yeah, but
because it wouldn't have been difficult to put guardrails in place and go, listen, you are not getting absolutely shit-faced.
Yeah.
I don't care if the booze is free. Like, you're not doing that, you know. And when you get to that point, you are still working. So if you get to that point, you're going back to your room.
Technically, this is a kind of a work networking thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's
it.
So that's what I mean by guardrails. You know,
in that circumstance, you've probably got a point that there should have been kind of like.
No, we know 2026 is the face-to-face kickoff, right? That everybody wants face-to-face again. People are going back out there, right? I think for the last 5 years, people have become so comfortable behind a screen that they will say things or type things that they wouldn't necessarily say in front of somebody. Yeah. Right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, keyboard warriors.
That's it. There's a certain level of like confidence and chest out that people are showing online. That's my concern. Is we're now moving into the face-to-face world again. Have these guys forgotten how to behave?
It sounds like a good comedy sketch, right? It's like they think they're still on Zoom or something.
Yeah. Until they get one in the jaw, and then they're like, Yeah. But like in a realistic environment, look, we are going to be sending our guys out and about to meetings, to clients, that kind of thing, you know, and that is what I mean by guardrails. Yeah. I remember we went to we were at Michael Page, and I took a junior member of staff with me to a client meeting, and I shit you not, she sat on the edge of the chair, kind of facing the door, with her coat on the entire time.
Just
body language saying, I don't want to be here, I just want to go, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by when I say guardrails need to be in place. That's what I mean. Like you know, the directors and the owners of the business aren't going to be everywhere at once, so you need to put things into place to protect that brand. Otherwise, you may as well just let everybody dictate what your brand is as a business.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what you would hope is that the people in your business would have sense enough that you don't have to ram that down their throats.
Yeah.
Right? To realise that this isn't actually this isn't like you out on a Saturday night with your mates. This is actually you're still around with people who are potential clients, potential colleagues, peers, etc. And you would hope that they have that sense. Not everyone does. Hey, I'm guilty of all this. You know, I recently I was meant to be speaking at something and completely torpedoed it because I got hot-headed and arrogant and like that, and so I know that's damaged my brand and the business's brand in this person's eyes because I just
did not take it seriously.
I went off on one, but basically it's easy to do, I guess. As well.
I want to know more about this off camera.
I will tell you about it. So it's easy to do. And I've got no one else to blame but myself. But you know, coming back to all of this, I know that it's kind of that has actually probably irrefutably damaged myself and the brand in their eyes.
That's it.
Not much else I can do about it in those kind of cases. There's no kind of coming back from it. There's no, you know. So
let me ask you your professional opinion as a marketeer.
Okay.
Enzo Tech Group.
Okay.
Have they got it right? What I mean by that is they hire good-looking people. They're all young.
Yeah.
There's beer taps in the office. They lean into the fact that this is what we are. This is who we are.
Yeah.
Now, from a marketeer's eyes, I think they've got it right. That is, they know what they want their brand to be, and they are like, you know, that's what they are doubling in on. Whether people get pissed off with it or not, whether people dislike it or not, is besides the point. I don't need 150 recruitment agencies to look at my agency and go, wow, look how well they're doing.
Yeah.
I need my clients to be like, I like these guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. If you go on everything that I have, I don't think they've necessarily got the credibility bit right, but they've got the consistency, and they've kind of got that foundation is all there, and they've got the focus, and that is what they have staked their kind of claim in that.
How do you measure that credibility piece though? Because again, they're in business, they're profitable, and their guys are, they're everything would suggest that they are making placements and therefore making money. So the credibility piece comes from
quite possibly
your customer.
I mean,
right?
for me, from the perception of mine, they're not necessarily that. I wouldn't say they're credible in my eyes, but I am not target audience.
Yeah, well, we'll look at it.
But I am not target audience. I know who you mean. I have seen this stuff. I've not.
I like using them as an example because I think I was one of the ones that was like, oh god,
it's not for me, but it obviously works.
But then you look at it through a marketer's lens and you're like, this is great, this is fantastic. Like they really know what they want to be and they are that. You know what I mean? There's no blurred lines there.
If you take my 3 C's, they've got the clarity, they know exactly what they're doing, and they've got the consistency. I would wonder if they put off as many people as they turn on.
Yeah.
Right. I think that could be.
But is that not just qualifying out?
But that's
you don't want to do business with, right?
And again, I use this analogy as you always want clients who are a mirror for yourself, right?
That's right.
And that's probably the kind of businesses that they want to work with, and they've staked their claim. So, yeah, they're probably doing that. They're doing their thing. It's not for everyone, but it is for the people who do want
a very intelligent and a person I respect a lot. Recruitment director once said to me, "Well, you got to remember, Nitin, is that when it comes to hiring managers, they're not spending their money; they're spending the budget they're allowed to spend. And so sometimes they need to decide who they would rather spend that money with, right?
Yeah,
they're not asked.
Yeah,
they don't always want the best candidate. Sometimes they want the best service, or they want to deal with the right people, the people that they like to spend time with. They don't want to be sat in a meeting for an hour with someone who they don't have anything in common with. What they would rather do, if I have to pay for an agency anyway, if I have to pay a recruitment fee anyway, I may as well spend time with somebody that makes me laugh or is interesting or I learn something from along the way. So through that lens, if the hiring manager that they're going after, like, listen, I just want like fun loving, I want to hear about the beer tap, I want to hear about the debaucherous weekends, I want to hear about that shit. Yeah. If that's the hiring manager they're placing with, then hey, happy days, right?
If that's the brand they want, then that's the brand they get, right? You know what I mean? And and again, if that's the recruitment brand and how they want to be perceived, then actually they've got clarification, they've got focus. You know what I mean? Then they're doing what they want to do. And as I said,
I appreciate you answering the question because I know a lot of people wouldn't, and they'd be like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about it."
No, I mean I don't. But it's as I said, it's not for me, but it is for other people. It's and you know what? Actually, probably if you were there as a marketeer, it'd probably be a lot of fun, right?
Oh, right.
As long as you're on the bus and bought into all that, I'm sure it's a great place to work. I mean, I'm a bit too old for all of that now. So
yeah. No, I like watching it from a distance, a safe distance.
Exactly.
Love that. Any closing thoughts? Anything you think you want to? Don't you think you want to, but you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I mean, it's come back to when you're thinking about your recruitment brand, come back to those 3 C's we've kind of discussed, and think about in the end, are you kind of recognizable? Are you reliable? Are you remembered? If those are the things you think your brand is doing for you, then you've probably got it right. If there's something lacking in there, then there's some work to be done.
I love that. Very poignant way to finish off. Will you be at Recruitment Agency Expo? Can people expect to see you there?
I'm speaking on the second day. I can't remember what time. I think it's either around about lunchtime. Come along, have a chat. Come and see me waffle about something probably very similar. Love to see people there.
Love that. Cool. Anything else you got going on where people can see you? Anything you want to promote?
Hey, well, there's always
you got a book coming out.
I haven't got a book coming out.
No, not yet.
We've got the podcast. You can, which is the Marketing Rules podcast, out every couple of weeks. I was going to say maybe the fastest growing podcast.
Hey, no, do that. Listen, the fastest growing recruitment marketing podcast. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely that. So all over kind of socials for that, and just kind of keep an eye on us. I think we've got to have an interesting year. We've got some kind of growth plans in place. We are kind of we've got a little bit. We've got we're tweaking the brand a little bit at some point this year, so that's kind of coming down the road. So hopefully it's going to be a good year. So keep an eye.
Love that, mate. As always a pleasure.
Cheers.
And we'll see how see how this episode goes down, but we'll see kind of what the sentiment is off the back of this episode, and we'll bring you back in obviously later this year to kind of maybe either further dig into this or look at something completely different.
Happy to.
Guys, if you want to hear more from James and the team, details of how to get in touch with them will be in the description below, including a link to the Marketing Rules podcast, including a link to their website, their LinkedIn, and everything you need. I want to thank you guys for liking, watching, sharing, subscribing, doing all the cool shit that you guys do that allow me to do this cool shit for a job. New episodes drop every Wednesday and every Friday. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Ciao. Happy with that?
Brilliant. Perfect.
There we are.
My first recommendation for you is Asen. Asen are a modern employer record built specifically for contractor recruitment businesses. Asen helps teams scale fast and stay compliant across the US, Canada, and globally with an all-in-one white label EOR platform. From onboarding and payroll to workers' comp and benefits, Asen handles the entire back office so you can focus on your clients and the talent. To learn more about them, check the link in the description below. My next recommendation is ThinkinCircles. Job ads are not marketing. AI won't save a bad strategy. Most recruitment agencies and RecTech businesses are failing because they lack activity. They're failing because their marketing's got no clarity, no positioning, and no consistency. That's where ThinkinCircles comes in. They were built specifically to solve that problem. They understand the recruitment market inside and out, how agencies actually win clients, how candidates make their decisions, and how RecTech businesses actually scale. So for recruitment agencies, ThinkinCircles are your fractional marketing team, fixing positioning, sharpening your messaging, and driving consistent execution, but without the cost of a full in-house team. For RecTech suppliers, they solve the hardest growth challenges: go-to-market strategy, demand generation, and land and expand growth in the UK and beyond. So no generic B2B fluff, no random tactics, just recruitment-focused marketing that helps you understand your problem and then provides you a solution on how to fix it. Find them at ThinkinCircles.com, link in the description below. The recruitment market moves fast. Growth targets are changing, costs are rising, and hiring locally isn't getting any cheaper. In 2025, 30 recruitment agencies stopped overpaying for talent and started scaling smarter using Infinity Staff Global. By outsourcing key roles to South Africa, agencies embedded fully trained recruiters, resources, BD professionals directly into their teams, working UK hours, using your CRM, and delivering real results. You reduce payroll costs, you cut HR and admin burden, you gain access to a deep pool of experienced recruitment personnel and talent, all at a fraction of UK costs. Scale up when demand rises and stay lean when it doesn't. If you're ready to grow without the pressure, discover how at infinitystaffglobal.com, link in the description. I never understood why recruitment businesses that are growing choose to hire a single marketing person who can't do it all, instead of using an outsourced team that can. Also, by contrast, I never really understood why businesses that have got an in-house marketer keep adding headcount rather than strategically outsourcing specialist skills that they need in the team. That's where the Marketing Junction comes in. They give businesses access to the right marketing expertise at the right time without the overheads of a growing internal team. They specialize in recruitment marketing, which means that they understand how you need to generate new leads, tap into niche and that hard-to-reach talent pool, and build marketing strategies that support both clients and candidates. The result? A lower marketing spend, smarter execution, and a significantly higher return on investment. And if you want proof, the Marketing Junction's hiring savings calculator lets you see for yourself exactly how much you could save by outsourcing strategically instead of hiring again. Link in the description. Are you still wrestling with spreadsheets to calculate your team's commissions every month? then this next recommendation's for you. Let's be honest, month end can be a total dread for finance teams and a source of sort of guesswork for consultants, right? That's where I highly recommend Conquest. They're a global leader in commission software built specifically for the staffing and recruitment industry. Instead of manual data exports, Conquest plugs directly into your existing CRM or pay and bill system, like Bullhorn, Vincere, JobAdder, you know the lot. And it automates everything from splits down to currency conversions to complex team overrides and clawbacks. But it isn't just about the back office. Conquest brings your commission plans to life with real-time visual dashboards. Consultants get visibility into their earnings pipeline, which doesn't just reduce their inquiries and queries, but actually supercharges and motivates the team too. When your team can see exactly what they're earning at the moment the deal is tracked in the CRM, productivity goes through the roof. The result? 0 error rates, cleaner CRM data, and a massive reduction in the admin burden that comes with calculating these commissions. So say goodbye to spreadsheet headache and get your commission strategy into the 21st century. You can even start with the free health check tool, see how your current setup scores. Details are in the description below.